Okay, I am now live, and I'm not really sure where to begin. Hoping for some people to come in, and then I'll get started. Um, if you are here and you want to say hi, that would be great. And okay, all right, people are coming in. Okay, so today I'm going to be working on a journal cover. I know that this is probably not um, going to be interesting to some of you. Um, but for those who are, I've just recently been delving into the world of scrapbooking and journaling and just kind of goofing around. I really never thought I would like it. I actually I probably maybe a good 15 or so years ago. I did some with some friends and it was okay, but it just, at that time, it just wasn't my cup of tea. But I don't know, lately I've been seeing more reels and different things like on Facebook and Instagram of people that are creating these things. And I just think they're fun and it's just kind of a step away from some of the stuff that so I do like to incorporate different things in my creative journey, whatever. Um, but um, but this is fun, and of course, just like every other craft or technique that you do, you always need a lot of things. You can make do with some stuff that you may already have, but I found myself browsing all these websites that carry all these products late into the evening, late into the night, and making wish lists of all the different things that I'd like. I did buy probably more than I should have for starters, but when you're a beginner and you see some of these reels and they just have all these different products, and I think the biggest thing was trying to find the right kind of notebook or journal, and I've made some boo-boos, and I'm just hoping that the things that I've made mistakes with, I can maybe help you so you don't make the same mistakes, and save you a little bit of money. So because I just kind of went nuts. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Susan. Okay. So anyway, I've just been having fun things. I'm doing two different things today. At least that's my goal. I had done this notebook cover or journal cover a few weeks ago, and I'm going to make the back for this. And then I'm going to make a cover for this one. This is the inside cover in this notebook. So I'm going to work on the outside cover today too. Things have to dry. Uh, I need different coats of different mediums, and they all have some drying time. So I'm going to try to balance, them, and hopefully I'll make some sense out of all of this. Um, I'm going to get right to it as far as giving the coats of medium that I'm going to use. And some of the people that I've been watching use specific products. I know that probably a lot of it is they're promoting those certain products because they get benefits by selling them or promoting them. But I do, I've been watching this one woman named Donna. She is on, she has a Facebook, no, I'm sorry, she has a YouTube channel, and I'll put links to everything so that you can find these people if you want to investigate. But I started by watching her, and she recommended this multi-surface lacquer. It's made by Polyvine, and of course, she's sponsored by the people that make this stuff. So, but I went ahead and I bought it, And it's sort of like a Mod Podge kind of thing, but it does more than that. It's a good all-purpose sealer and also like a primer. So if you're putting, if you want to cover something that's porous, this is a good sealer for that. And these notebooks are porous, so I just thought I would do that. But I suspect that you could probably do pretty much the same thing with Mod Podge. I don't have any proof of, what's better than what, but I'm just going to go ahead with these particular products, and you guys can make your own decisions as far as what you want to use. When you're just starting out, if you have Mod Podge and you want to just experiment with that, go for it. You don't have to spend big money unless you know this is something that you really want to do. So, and I figured that this is something I really want to do. So, I'm going to put a coat of this on the journal that I'm doing the backside. I'm going to start off with that. And it's just pretty basic, but it has to have some drying time. So I'm going to move the camera down, and I'm just using a flat brush. Hi, Mary. And this journal that I'm using has the wire spiral, and I was not very careful with it, and I got a lot of junk on the paint and stuff that got really crusty and hard to get off. So this time I thought I would put a piece of blue painter's tape on it to kind of prevent that, but we'll see what happens. Because of course I didn't try that before coming on live. So I'm just gonna spread some of this on here. Ooh, look at a booger on there. Well, not really a booger, but a little piece of something, because I'm getting down to the bottom of this jar. So this is good for sealing. This is I'm laying a foundation for the book or for the cover. And so I'm putting this sealer on here. It doesn't have to be super neat or anything, but I do want to get the outside edges. And I just put some paper, scrap paper, to protect the pages underneath so they don't get gloppy. Okay. So that is the first coat. I'm going to just set that aside and let it dry, and then we'll go on to something else that we're going to put on top of that. Okay. So it's a good idea to rinse your brushes off right away so they don't get all stuck together. All right. Now, for this, stick my arm in it. Why don't you? Okay. For this other journal, I had already done the inside page, the inside cover. You don't have to do inside and outside covers. I just thought I would do this as I'm practicing before I show you what I'm doing. So on this journal, I already have put a coat of this multi-surface lacquer on there. All right, that already has that on there. And it also has a coat of chalk paint, white chalk paint. Chalk paint could be any color if you already have some. It doesn't really matter if you're doing this process that I'm doing. Okay, but the sequence is a coat of the multi-surface lacquer, then a coat of the white chalk paint, and that lays a good foundation so that your paper doesn't lift over the process of use over time. Okay, so I already did the coat of the lacquer on here and the coat of chalk paint, and Then I added a layer of acrylic paint on here because my next step is going to be to lay down the paper, the background paper that I'm going to use for the cover, which is this. I think I want to have it that way. It doesn't really matter. So this is a thick cardstock that I'm using. Get this water out of the way before I spill it. So I'm going to glue on this piece of cardstock, and then I'll back up and show you some other stuff. All right. So I didn't cover the whole thing with the acrylic paint because I really didn't need to. I'm just going to glue this right on top, and I cut my cardstock so that there's a little bit of the cover sticking out. I didn't want to run completely to the edge with this paper because I was afraid that maybe over time with opening and closing the book that maybe you would fray that edge on the side. So I'm going to use, oh, and this cardstock, I'll show you a bunch of this stuff when I'm at that point. But this is like two-sided cardstock, so I chose the side that I wanted. And I'm just going to lay down some tacky glue. It's quick drying. And there we go. Just going to lay down some glue. These would be fun. You could make these for gifts for friends, relatives, kids, whatever, whatever you want to do. Now, as far as journaling goes, like I'm not a person that writes down like their feelings and what they did for today, but there's a lot of people that like to do that. And they pencil things in or they draw things in with markers or colored pencil. It's all up to you how you want to use your book. So that's why there's a lot of variance with these things. You can go many different directions. Just depends on what appeals to you. So I wanted to lay this down so it has some time to dry. Make sure that I get those corners. And then we're going to do some stamping and some other things, fun things on here. Deborah. Hi, Deborah. Did that acrylic paint cover some existing writing on the cover? Is that way you didn't need to paint the whole thing? Not sure if you already mentioned that. I just read it a little late. I put, I'm not sure what you're asking me. It didn't have, I had a sticker on the top of this book because I used it for something else prior. And I just covered that up with that white paint. But I would have, whether I had something on there before or not, I would have still done this, covered it just so that it doesn't, the paper doesn't pull off of the notebook cover over time. Okay. And here's another thing. If you get these books that have the spiral bound, decide whether you want to paint all the way in between those things or not, because that is a pain in the butt. But I couldn't decide if I should or shouldn't, so I did it. But then I got paint on these wires. And like I said, I covered this. This was after the fact. So this will save you some aggravation. That's just about dry, too. Okay, so I have, you can go lots of different ways with these. This is just a couple of examples of what can be done and what you can use. Yeah, you could even do those with sketchbooks, Mary. There's just tons of stuff. Before I knew what I was doing, well, I still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm a little better than I was. I ordered this journal on Amazon, not knowing that the paper inside matters for what you intend to do with your journal. Now, if you are just sketching in here with colored pencil or writing in here as a journal, this paper would be okay, but it's very thin. So to glue on here, I'm afraid, now I'm going to do it because I bought it and I don't really have any other use for it. I'm going to try it, but I wouldn't recommend buying one of these right off the bat. Make sure that you get a journal that has either watercolor paper in it, depending on what kind of um, pencils or markers or watercolors. Get the right kind of paper for whatever you're going to be using. This would be okay with pencil. Um, it would not be okay with watercolors. Markers maybe, but I don't know if it bleeds through or not, so I have to experiment. And gluing things on, like I said, I don't know if that would work. So I would pick either a mixed media journal or a watercolor journal. So just be advised that they're not all created equal. Mixed media paper is smooth. It's very smooth and it will accept markers. You can even do some watercolor on it, but I wouldn't heavily saturate it. You can stamp on it. It's great. Watercolor paper, on the other hand, is not so great because it is textured. It has a texture in it. It's very good for watercolor or colored pencils that are watercolor pencils. So anything that accepts water. And I don't know if you could see this comparison, but I just stamped this bird a little while ago, and this is on mixed media paper, and it's very smooth, and it's just the way it should be, okay, for working with markers or colored pencil. This one I stamped on watercolor paper, and hopefully you can see the difference because this paper is textured. So it doesn't accept the entire stamping the same way as the mixed media paper does. So that's just something to keep in mind. So just kind of get an idea of what you want to do. And that's where I was at when I started. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So like I said before, if I can save you from wasting money on things that you thought were going to be good and they're not, you can learn from my mistakes. Okay, so, but I like both papers for different reasons. All right, so this is on here. This is ready for a coat of the chalk paint. I'm just going to spread. This one's almost empty. So I'm just going to spread a layer or a coat on the journal cover. This one I'm going to decoupage another rabbit princess or rabbit queen, whatever, like the front cover, just in a different color. And the other notebook is going to be a very quirky little cover. Now, there again, these notebooks that I'm demonstrating on today were not purchased for this intent. I was just using this one that I'm doing right now as a sketchbook for some jewelry designing. And I can't really even tell what kind of paper is in there. It's very, it's got a very strange feel to it, to me. So I don't think it's rather thin. So I don't think that this would be a good thing to work with wet mediums on. But because I had it and I'm doing a demo, I thought I would make use of it. And it'll probably still continue to be a sketchbook for me. I'm doing the little edges all the way around. Okay, and when this dries, I'm going to put the color, the acrylic paint that I want. Now, like I said, this is just the design that I'm choosing to do. Doesn't mean that this is how yours has to be done. Okay, you don't want it too thick because you want it to dry, and it's not necessary. Okay, this will accept the cardstock that I'm going to put on there, and uh, hopefully be very durable. Okay, so that was chalk paint. All right, set that to the side and let that dry. And I'm going to wash this brush. And then I'm going to talk about some of the materials that I bought, some of the supplies. I really should be at the sink with this, but I'm not. So hopefully that will be okay as is. All right, now comes the fun stuff. And also, when you're doing this kind of stuff, have a garbage can close by because you make lots and lots of little snips and cuts and pieces of paper, and it gets all over the place. All right, so I'm going to talk about stuff. I'm going to be using rice paper for my my girl, my bunny, that I did the cover of, and okay. So this is my rice paper box that I'm going to be using stuff out of. This is rice paper. I had never heard of this before I started my journey in this. But the lady that I was watching on YouTube was decorating something with rice paper, and it kind of intrigued me. And it was pretty what she was doing. I've watched her so many episodes, I don't even know what it was when I watched at the beginning. But rice paper comes in sheets, and it's fibrous, and you just tear off pieces, but you wet tear them, which I will show you, to detach. Instead of using scissors on this, you use a water brush, and then you pull the design apart. These come in just gazillions of choices as far as patterns and themes, that sort of thing. This bunny was one sheet, and this was, show you this right here. Oops. That, I made this card yesterday. It's not really card. I would say it's a page, or I'm not really sure what you would call it. But my purpose isn't to make like greeting cards. I just wanted to do little art pages, and just kind of a mixed thing. So this bunny was on this piece of rice paper. Okay. And this one, I did not use any rice paper. These were little cutouts that I bought, a sheet of cutouts. They have lots of different themes. So that's that one. This one also is cutouts on cardstock paper. And then I put some volume paste, which I'll show you how to add that. This is all different textures and layers. Do some stamping, a bunch of different little things on there. And then the first ones that I did, which really sold me on doing this stuff, were the dog and cat. I just thought they're quirky and they're fun. Um, and I don't know, I like it. It's like doing stuff when you were a kid, coloring and different things like that. It's easy. It's no stress. It's just the only thing you stress out about is what you want to put together with something, and that's just totally your own choice. Um, but there's just so many things. Like I said, this is the rice paper. It's very thin. It's sheer. It does kind of matter what you lay it on. The background, if it's too dark, you may muddy your design, your picture, so you may not get the colors as vibrant as they are. So that's something to consider. They come in, uh, the rice paper comes in full sheets and also quarter page sheets, which I'll show you. These are just some of the designs. I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet, but I know that I liked them when I was picking them out. And these are purchased individually. They're about $2 or $2.25 a sheet. Uh, and the companies that I bought them from package them very well so they don't get wrinkled or messed up at all. But there's just so many. I hope I like this for a long time because I've got a lot of stuff to use. Um, just different kinds of things that are so cute, and you can incorporate them with lots of different things. These little farm animals are cute. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with them all, but I have a lot of them. So, and then the script, I really like this because you can tear off little pieces and add it here or there in your design. This one I thought was really pretty. I got one with a rabbit that was running, and it was just such a beautiful picture that I framed it. I just took the rice paper and I put it on a white background, and I put it in a mat in a frame, and I've got it in my bathroom upstairs. It's I really like it a lot. So that's the neat thing is you could use it all whole, but a lot of people just take bits and pieces of these. Oh, that's another one of those script things. So it's very sheer. Um, and I used one of these lavender pots for the inside of my uh, page on that one book. Okay, so that's rice paper. Those are full sheets, and then there's some that come in quarter sheets. Lots of different choices with those as well. All right. There's just a lot of stuff, and I hope I don't confuse you, but it is in the beginning kind of mind-boggling because if you want to do this, you need to get some stuff, but you want to make sure you get the right stuff. And then there's cardstock. And you can also, at one of the places, I think it is stamps, scrapbook.com. You can buy some of these individual pages as opposed to buying a whole book. This is a whole scrapbook page book with many, many different pages in here of lots of different choices. This is an old one. I had this from that 15 plus years ago too. So paper doesn't go bad if you keep it in a dry area. So that's something for background papers, and some of them you can cut little designs out, like I did on this when I did the mushroom card. I cut some, let's see here, on this one. I cut one of the mushrooms out here on this page. And then I cut the rabbit off of another page. I had two of these, so I cut the rabbit that I used on the other page. Cut that off. So there's lots of things. Some of these papers are double-sided. You can choose which side you want to use. And then there's also smaller background books, little pads with beautiful background colors. Just depends on what you're into, what you want to create. But there's lots of nice choices to pick from. Okay, so I will give you references to all that stuff as well later on. Okay, so let's set these aside. And there's fun things that you can add to your pages too. I used a little bit of netting here. You can't really probably see it because it's white, but let's see. This is Tulle. I believe it's called Tulle, this netting. You can buy just a small amount at your fabric stores, or you might have some of this on hand for something. You could use small little pieces of that. These are like ribbons or edgings that you can get in the fabric department. And then the other day I found this lace ribbon. So I thought that was kind of neat. I put that on one of my pages. So you can use a lot of little bits and pieces you may have around the house. And another pretty neat one, I thought it was pretty neat that I heard about, is drywall tape. It comes in a roll. Hopefully you can get something smaller than this, because I sent my husband, well, he was going to a hardware store, and I said, oh, get me some drywall tape, and he bought this huge honking roll. I'll never use it all, but you can take little bits and pieces of this, and there again, because of the phone camera, I don't know if you can see it, but I just kind of, this has an adhesive backing on it, and I just laid a few sections of that on there, and it just gives your picture just a little bit of interest, a little different interest. So there's that. You can put wax seals on your pages, which I'm going to do that on the money book. So we'll do that, and there's just lots of choices. All right, now let's check on. That's almost dry, but not quite. Now I haven't decided. Maybe you can help me decide. I originally was going to do the pink on pink. I'll also have some other stuff in there, but then I was thinking maybe the blue on pink would be nice, because it does have some pink in the bunny as well. I had a purple one. I don't know where it went. I've looked high and low for it. There were 4 bunnies on this one piece of rice paper, and I don't know what I did with it. So I was left down to either blue or pink. So I guess it doesn't really matter to me. Okay. I know I'm all over the place with this stuff, but there's just a lot of little steps. Now, this is dry enough that I can start to design on here, and basically I have a scene that I'm going to put on this one, and there are, I have to back up here, there are so many fun things available. This is from a company called All in Create, and they make the stamps that I used for the kitty and the dog, but they also have lots of other stamps, and they have this nice ephemera that you can purchase, and that is also like on the card that I made prior. So the dog is a stamp, a rubber stamp, and you color it in. But then the tree and the park bench and the light, those are all pieces of ephemera that came out of these little kits. You can design it. You can cut them up. You can put sections of them on there. You don't have to use the entire piece if they're really huge. There's just lots of little things that you could design. This really kind of surprised me how much I enjoyed playing with this. So there's also border stamps or frame stamps. And let's see here. This is the black frame here. This is a frame. This is not the one. I don't have the right one on hand here for this one, but I'm going to be using one of those. This is a metal die that goes in a scrapbooking, like a Big Shot or something like that, that you roll it through and it cuts out the borders of your page. So this is just one of them. If you don't have something like this and you don't want to spend the money on it, you can always get scissors that are design scissors that you can cut. I wanted a circle and I didn't have a circle, but I had the decorative scissors and I was able to cut them out with those. So that's a low cost, pretty handy way to do that if you want. I haven't done anything with these yet, but I just was kind of goofing around with them. But the border stamps or the frame stamps are really fun. This frame that comes in a 2-pack, this one, and you get the 2 frames, and they make the 2 different cutouts. So you can layer stuff if you want to do that. So that's kind of neat. I like it. And this particular one came with, well, 8 dies altogether. There's some leaves and then some butterflies. I haven't used any of those yet, but I mainly bought them for the frames. Okay, so that's that. And these little pouches I got on Amazon. These are great to store all your things and keep them organized. Like I had put the ephemera in one. I have rubber stamps in another one. Just all different things. But I'm trying to stay organized because there's just a lot of stuff, and I want to be able to see it relatively quickly. And these pouches are great. Like I said, I got them on Amazon. There's different sizes. You can put lots of different things in there, not just scrapbooking stuff. Then there are stencils, and that's all. I'm going to use one of these too today and show you. There's all kinds of different designs and textures that you can achieve with them. This one's one of my favorite ones. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I really like this one. And you just use little parts of them. So I'll leave that one out because I probably will use that. And then I also follow another lady on YouTube, and her name is Vicky, and she's from Greece, and she is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And there again, I'll leave you a link for her as well. She uses a lot of these products, and that's kind of how I found out about them. But she makes something like every day, and she has these little reels on Instagram and on YouTube, and she's just a wealth of knowledge and inspiration. So I would, if you like this, I would advise checking her out. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of stamping on here. This one, because I'm doing a scene with this ephemera, it doesn't need too much in the background, but I'm going to just put a few things on here anyway. So And a lot of times the stuff that you put on gets kind of covered up too. So, um, there's just lots of different things. So I'm going to use a permanent ink. I use, well, you don't have to, but I use StazOn a lot. But any permanent uh, ink will work for you. All right. So I have a stamping block, and I'm going to just pick this little circle, and don't overthink it. Just kind of lay stuff down. Well, the block is too big for here. I need a smaller block for that area. If you don't get a whole impression, that's okay too. Just kind of random design. I like the ones with words in them. You can't read the words, of course, but I just like them. I like how it looks. Now I'm going to use, that only takes a second to dry. And if you put your stamps back where they belonged, then you will always find them. I've been guilty many times of not putting stuff back where it belongs, and then it becomes a big mess. And then it's hard to find things. Oh, that's why it didn't fit, because there's a loose paper in there. Actually, it's not paper, it's acetate. And yesterday in the group, I posted a picture, I think it was yesterday, I posted a picture of violets that I had smashed, fresh flowers that I had smashed, and I said to use a piece of acetate. Well, when you get rubber stamps or packages, like packages that things come in, these clear cellophane packages, you can use that. Hang on to some of that because they're good for other projects. That's why this didn't fit right, because those were in there. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to do a little bit. I know I've already designed what I want to make here, so there's not a lot of free space for this, but I'm going to put some on here just so you see what I'm doing. This stuff is called volume paste. I know it's backwards. And I'm just going to use a palette knife and lay a little bit of this paste out here. A little bit goes a long way. So I just put a little bit of this on my palette knife, and I'm going to just come down here in this corner. And then lift up carefully. And then you have your little bit of a design. And I kind of smushed this over here. I guess that's just going to be the way it is on that corner. I'm going to put some over here in this corner. And be careful, because once it's on your stencil, don't lay it down on anything that's going to get the paste on it, because it's It's a mess. All right. This is a little bit hard to get off your fingers. I keep baby wipes with me when I'm doing this stuff. Just love this. I haven't mastered it though. I still get smears and stuff on there. Maybe I'll put just a little dab over here. It's not, you don't have to use this stuff, just if you like it. Gives it a different look. So that's got to dry a minute. Actually, I think I'm going to do that up here too. Just give a little bit in the corners. Okay, so now I'm going to wipe this off because it dries on your stencil pretty quick. So wipe that off. And I've also gone to the sink and used a little scrubby on it too, to get as much off as I can. But it gets on your hands. If you don't want to get your hands messed up, I'd say use gloves. But I really hate working with gloves if I can avoid it. Clean that stencil on both sides, because once it dries, it's hard. This is actually pretty quick drying. All right. So now I'm going to let that dry for a couple minutes. And I'm going to come back to this other one. And I'm going to glue my background paper on this page. I'm going to take this off. That worked great. I wish I would have thought of that sooner. All right, cover up this volume paste. This will last a long time. Just keep it sealed up so it doesn't dry out. All right, now I'm going to use, this is just a white glue in a skinny little bottle. And get the corners. Actually, I shouldn't be doing this on top of the book. Any white glue for any of these things, as long as it dries clear, you can use any kind. And I think pretty much all glue does dry clear, but I'm not positive. Get all the edges, all the corners. This would be a very fun project if you have kids or grandkids that you want to work with them making something like this. Oh, I forgot my pink paint. Shoot. Well, this is going to go without it, I guess. No, I won't be happy with that. Crapola. All right. Let's see if we can save the day here. I should not have taken that tape off yet. Well, my pink paint might have a little bit of glue in it. Crap. Let's see if I can put this back on here. Never fails. Working in a tight spot. I'm doing this because the paper doesn't completely cover the black cover of the journal. So I just am trying to, I'm not really a pink person. I don't know why I chose pink, but I'm sure it'll be nice. It's going to have to be. I'm just going to put the one coat on it. And I see I got ahead of myself. That's when I make mistakes. I hadn't thought it all out, I guess. And I can probably touch it up if I need to, which I probably will need to. All right, I think I'm going to use the heat gun on this to try to dry it up faster. So that way I can lay my background paper on here. Alrighty. Let's see if I can lay this back down on here. I think some of that glue is already drying. All right. It's not the right shade of pink, is it? Well, it's what I had. I didn't put that on completely straight. Go figure. I have a little brayer here that I'm gonna just roll that down with. All right, then I'm gonna let this dry. Working on 2 projects at once. I can barely do 1 project at once. But I thought I would make up the best use of my time, showing you 2 different examples. Well, one thing is drying. All right. Baby wipes for the win. Unscented, please. I don't like scented baby wipes. Okay, see that stuff, that volume paste really, it gets on you. All right, let this dry now. That's going to need some help, I think. All right, I'm going to dry these up a little bit. right. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to add a little bit of this drywall tape. You can just chop it up however you like. It's sticky, sticks to your hands a little bit. Okay. All right. It's not crucial, you know, how it's cut. I'm gonna lay a piece here. Okay, now the fun begins, in my opinion. I am going to create my scene. And like I said, I had pretty much figured out what I was going to do earlier, because there's nothing worse than getting on here and trying to improvise. Okay, what I have in mind, close my ink up. What I have in mind is this little cat. So I'm going to put the frame down. Try to keep my new mat from getting all gunky like my other one. It's terrible. So I'm going to put some glue on the frame. Now this is the outside cover of the notebook that just has lined paper in it. So that's just going to be strictly notes. It's not really a journal. But like I said, this is one I had from before, and I thought I would try to utilize it, at least for demo purposes. It's a little wonky, but that's okay because these guys are so quirky that I'm going to be adding to it. Just wait. And with this ephemera, you can kind of cut pieces off too. Or you could tuck it under a little bit there. All right, so what I have in mind is this corner building and this cat. But the cat, let's see here. Okay. The cat is going to be laying on top. So ephemera like this makes your designs much easier. But there again, that's a choice of what you're looking for. You may not want to do this kind of thing. You might just use little bits and pieces of things to make your design, and that's fine. It's just all what you want. I'll turn this around in a minute. Hi, Patty. Deborah, this is a heat gun. It's like a crafting heat gun, but you could probably use a hairdryer. The dimensional paste dries probably in 5 or 10 minutes. There's different brands that do different things. So this particular one is volume paste, and it dries pretty quick. All right, so this guy, this little skinny tip on this glue is nice because it gets in those little areas if your corners aren't down all the way. All right, now the cat, I'm going to tuck him under the frame just a little tiny bit. And I'll have to draw some whiskers on here because I cut them off when I was trimming him out. Let's see here. This is just like too much fun to me. But then again, I'm fairly juvenile, so I'm a 72-year-old, 8-year-old. All right, tuck him under the frame just a bit. Turn him around so you can see him right now. All right, glue him down. And I have a little sign with little directions and a little bit of cobblestone here. And then I have some garbage cans. Okay, I just want to get them oriented in the right way. This is just fun. Okay, put this little sign up here. I just love these guys. I don't know why. I just really, really do. All right. Put like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with these other than just
look through them and enjoy them. So far, here we go. Like that. And then I had extra space, so I cut off one of the dogs, and I'm going to put him up at the top looking down. I thought that would be cute. So we'll glue him on. Did that ahead of time because doing the two covers takes a lot of time. Put him in the middle. Just make sure they're all pressed down, that no edges are curling. I just love this. Now I got some of that volume paste on here, but I'll just touch it up with a little bit of blue paint. Now, the thing with the volume paste too that you could do is you could take, I didn't put it here, but there are different color ink pads, like Distress ink, and a little brush, and you can like just rub that color on this texture. So that gives it a little extra oomph if you wanted to go that way. Hey Cindy, hi Jamie. Jamie says, a friend and I made a scrapbook recipe album for my daughter-in-law with old family recipes. It was fun. I'm sure it was. You can go to town with this stuff. Now, you can also take little micron pens. Let's see here. A piece of regular paper. And I'm going to just do him a couple of whiskers. Just give him a couple of whiskers there. Like I said, I had cut them off when I was trimming. But that makes him more of a cat to have his little whiskers. Okay, so the next thing is if you have quotes, you could add that on there if you wanted. It's hard for me to choose quotes. I don't know. Sometimes there's like a perfect one, and some are just not so great. Dreamer of Dreams, I kind of like that. These were not cut very well. Live your life. You do you. Be curious. Adventure awaits. I think adventure awaits sounds pretty good. There, like I said, these are not cut very well. I may just have to trim it down a bit. But I have one other step before I'm going to lay this down. All right, let's put that to the side. And I'm going to do my white splatters because I think they're fun. And Vicky, who I mentioned earlier on Instagram and YouTube, loves splatters as well. And I think she's absolutely on onto something with that. Now this is just white acrylic paint and a long skinny brush. And I'm going to just dip my paint in the brush and tap it with my finger. And make little splatters here and there. And you can put on as many or as few as you like. But I love them, so I may put on more than you might. But I think it really adds something. You just want to be careful not to get big globs. All right. And I'm going to call that done and just let that dry. Isn't that fun? I think it's fun. Oh, Mary, a toothbrush works. That's great to know. Okay, so that's my cover. That's my front cover. And then that's the inside cover that I did the other day. I like this stuff though. I like the quirky stuff. Who knew? All right. So now let's get back to this guy. All right. I'm going to have to clean that up on the inside edge. Take that out. And I'm going to do a little design on here. Ah, I almost put her on upside down. Okay. So I'm going to put some stamping on here. And let's see here. I'm going to use this one, this text stamp. I'm just putting bits and pieces here and there. right. I think I'm going to use the Blue Bunny, because why not? All right, and I'm going to show you how to, maybe a little bit more stamping. I don't know. Sometimes less is more, but sometimes more looks better. So, and sometimes not. Where's my block? Here it is. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm going to show you how I treat the rice paper. And I'm using a water brush, or you could just use a paintbrush, a thin paintbrush with water. And just tear that apart. And I'm probably going to just use the entire design. So I'm going to get this wet. A torn edge, from what I'm told, looks better than a cut edge. So you can decide that for yourself, but I'm going to go with what I learned so far. It's interesting, this rice paper. Okay, get all the little mess. Here. I was going to do it again. Put it on the wrong way almost. Okay, so that's going to go there. Okay, and for this, I'm going to be using that multi-surface lacquer. Clean my brush here. All right, I'll use the multi-surface lacquer. This is where you would use Mod Podge if you didn't use this stuff I'm using. Now, if your paper starts to crease a little bit, or kind of bubble up a little bit, make sure you got it all layered down here. And then I'm going to take that piece of plastic and kind of just work out any wrinkles. You could take a piece of saran wrap as well and do that. It's easier to use that than just running your fingers because you could tear your paper. Actually, the saran wrap would be a better choice, but of course it's not here. Okay. I might actually use the brayer on that. Because another thing that I realized is this pink paper, this background paper, is really thin. It's not really meant for this, I don't believe. I think I should have used a thicker cardstock. This is not really cardstock. All right, so that's down. All right. And I think I'll put a piece of ribbon, the yarn ribbon. Well, that wasn't straight now, was it? My fingers have fuzz stuck to them now. I'm going to put a little bit of this glue. Put some glue on there. And I think I want to put some texture paste up here in this corner. Where is it? Here it is. And my stencil. Thanks, Patty. Thanks, Deborah. Yeah, I think the pink would have just blended right in there and not really been a good choice. All right. Maybe just one little dab down here. All right. Now, because I want to add a couple other little things. Thanks for watching, Cindy. Yeah, I'm always happy to drag other people down my rabbit holes. Cleaning off my stencil before that paste dries on there. Nope, don't want that. Spam. Okay. I didn't realize. I knew this was going to be a little bit longer than usual, doing two, but there's just too much to show you. In fact, I may, if you guys are interested, I may do some other pages kind of stuff and show you how some of the supplies are used, like with the die cutting machine. That might be insightful. You might enjoy that. I'm going to do a wax seal for here, which is a whole nother ball of wax. Oh, while that's heating up, while my little wax seal thing is warming up, come on, Wick. Well, that's a pretty pathetic flame. All right, that went right out. So let's see here. I think my wick is in the wax. That. I think I need another votive candle. That one doesn't look right. All right. All right. The sealing wax. It's kind of a fun thing. We'll just make a little wax seal. And should we do blue? Yeah, I guess we'll do blue. We'll do a black, a blue seal, and I have to go get another votive candle because that one's not working. Luckily, they're not far. Okay. Really? Have to have technical difficulties. All right. Okay. Maybe this one will work now. There we go. Jeez. Jeez Louise. All right. So I put some wax in my little wax seal maker. And I think I'll cut a little piece of that tool. Where's the white tool? All right. Hi, Wendy. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. There's just too many things. Too many things. Okay, let's move this over. Probably shouldn't be working on paper towels with a flame. All right, gotta get my stamp. And this one's got bunny ears on here, so I'm going to use this one. But I'm going to make the stamp not on the book. I'm going to make it on my worksheet over here. Let's get rid of this paper towel. It's making me nervous. Get rid of that. And you can see all my junk. Here. And then when this melts, I'll pour it. Let's speed this up a little bit. I put 4 little wax pellets in the little spoon. I'd rather have a little too much than not enough. I'm trying to get this heated up a little faster. All right, mixing that up. And it's hot enough. I've got my stamp. Pour it. And just let it fall on there for a second. It usually doesn't take long to set up. Oh, but this one is. I just stuck my finger in it. There we go. Got my little blue bunny ears, wax seal. And get some tacky glue. Well, I guess it helps if you take the cap off of the glue. That's going to take a little bit of time to dry on the seal. Now, I should wipe this out while it's still liquid. That's all you got to do to that. Okay, so that's done and out of the way. And I will probably just set something stiff or heavy on here to let that dry, that seal. I put a little bit of the tulle under there. The glue will dry clear. And then the last thing that I did was I took a piece of sari ribbon. I took a piece of sari ribbon and just tied it on to the top. And then I threaded in a bead and tied a knot to keep it on there. And then did the same on the other end. Threw a bead through there. So those are my projects for today. Like I said, that's got to dry yet. That's going to be a while before that's dry. But those are the two journal covers for today. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. When this is dry, when the seal is dry, I'll take a proper picture of it. I'm going to put my my steel bench block on top of that to keep it in place and let it dry. So I'll take a picture of it later on of both of them and put it in the group. I have a handout as always over the steps, and I will put some links to places where I bought stuff. I might have one or two things from Amazon, but you can check it out. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'll put the link there. Also, because Facebook will not be keeping these live videos anymore, so I'm not sure how long I'll have with this one, but it'll immediately go to YouTube when I'm done here, and that way we won't lose anything. We'll always, have the ability to to look these up and review them if you want. So I've been having big fun with this stuff. And like I said, the stuff that I did today, you can do in a multitude of different ways. Doesn't have to be done this way. This is just a couple of choice options. So thanks for being with me. I always enjoy it when you guys are here. It's more fun. And I'll be posting that other stuff in the group page in just a little bit. Take care. Bye-bye.